All right. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning. The sun is kind of shining here in Rockford, so we're happy about that. It's hard to believe that the holidays are already coming up here so quick. So we're thrilled that you all are joining us. We thought it'd be nice to have some fun together. We know the holidays look a little bit different this year, but doesn't mean we can't get together in a safe way like this to have some fun. So hopefully you all learned something from Chef Bryan today, who makes delicious and wonderful food here on campus. We're very lucky to have here with us today, and we appreciate his time on the weekend as well. And thanks to Sodexo for their partnership on campus. So I've been in and out of the kitchen here, and it already smells really, really good. So I think we're in for a treat. So again, thanks for everybody for joining us. I know we have a mix of alumni, students, parents, friends on the call, and it's just really great to have you all with us. So a little bit about Chef Bryan. Chef Bryan went to culinary school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He says go Steelers, which I guess we will allow. He graduated from Pennsylvania Culinary Institute and has been cooking professionally since 2003. He started his career at the Arizona Biltmore Resort in Phoenix, Arizona after culinary school and has been working at Sodexo since 2017. Bryan's favorite food to cook is anything barbecued or grilled, but he especially loves using one of his 3 smokers to smoke food. When he's not cooking, he enjoys spending time with his wife and 4 children, fishing and hunting. And his dream is to one day own his own farm, which I learned earlier that he has like 16 chickens. So I think you're off to a good start there. And we actually had a farmer's market here on campus. So he decided to make homemade apple cider donuts since those seem to be a fall favorite with the students. So like I said, we're so lucky to have Chef Bryan here on campus and are so excited to see what he has to share with us today. So thanks, Chef Bryan, and I'll turn it over to you. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. Otherwise, we will have time for Q&A at the end as well.
All right. Just want to say thank you for everyone joining me today. And I hope that these recipes can bring as much joy to your families that they have to mine for many years. So the first thing that I'll be doing today is I'll be making my mom's sweet potato pie recipe. It's really easy, and it's a classic dish that we have in our family every year for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, and for New Year's. So I hope everyone got their ingredient list today. So the first thing that you're going to need is your sweet potatoes, or yams, depends on where you're from. These are actually yams. A sweet potato is actually white, and it comes from Japan. So what we are going to be using are yams today. And so we need 2 cups of cooked and cooled. So I went ahead and already prepared our sweet potatoes for us in advance. So these are cooked. I boiled them whole so that way they don't lose their shape and their texture. That's what you want when you're boiling your sweet potatoes. Okay, you want them whole with the skins on, and then they're really easy to peel after you cook them. So we'll get our potatoes going in here so that you can see that the skins are really easy to peel right off.
Are you in the middle of the Zoom? Yes. But I can mute myself.
So the recipe calls for 2 cups of cooked and cooled, which is about 3 large potatoes. So that you can see the size of these potatoes that I have here, and it's about 3 of these potatoes. Excuse the noise, we are in a real production kitchen, so there's still work going on. So I have the potatoes in the bowl, and I'm just going to mash them. And you want them as smooth as you possibly can get them before you add the rest of your other ingredients. So if you can see here in the bowl, These are the potatoes, and they're just mashed up in there, and it's really smooth. There's no lumps. And now we'll start to add the rest of our ingredients. Went ahead and softened up my margarine for the mix. It calls for a half a stick, which is about 2 ounces of butter. Okay, and then we have our sugar. We have a mixture of brown sugar and white sugar. It's going to go in as well. Our evaporated milk. Vanilla extract. And then, last but not least, our eggs. So these eggs that I'm using today are eggs that I brought in from my chickens that I raise. You can use any store-bought egg; it doesn't matter. I just like using my fresh eggs better. So all I'm going to do is just mix all these ingredients together.
People watching there too.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Huh.
And then once I have this mixed, I'll add in my spices. The reason why I added my spices last is I want to make sure all the other ingredients are incorporated into the mixture first, and then I'll add my dry spices next, which is my cinnamon and my nutmeg. So now we have our filling ready to go into our shells. As you can see, that didn't take me very long at all. It took me maybe 5 minutes to get all the ingredients together. The longest time that it's going to take is when we bake the pies themselves. So you can see the mixture here is very smooth. There's no lumps, and it's a nice consistency. So what I have here is what I think is our secret to our success in our sweet potato pies, which is just a simple graham cracker crust. It's pre-made. You can also make your own graham cracker crust as well. Just make sure that you don't get it too wet when you're putting your crust into your pan. Okay, the more butter and the oils that release is going to make your crust fall apart, especially when you're working with graham cracker crust. Okay, so this one, you don't have to do anything to the crust. You just open it up. So I'm just going to open these up, and I have 2 shells that I am going to be using. And there's always filling left over, no matter how many times you make this recipe. And that's why I get these little baby crusts. The perfect snack size for me. You can get these anywhere you go. These little perfect shells. They don't take quite as long to cook, but they're nice to have on hand. So whenever you need something to snack on while the other pies are cooking, you have this.
Such a good idea, Bryan.
You always got to be prepared, Nicole, because you never know when you might need a late night snack and you don't want to break into the pie. So you just have a few of these laying around.
I can respect that. That's a great call.
So we have 4 of these that we're going to be using as well. Okay, so we have our 2 9-inch crust, and then we have 4 of these baby shells. That's what I like to call them. So we'll go ahead and fill up our little shells, and we're going to put about a half a cup of mixture in each one.
Is this your favorite dish on Thanksgiving, Bryan, or you have another favorite?
Oh no, sweet potato pie is my favorite dish anytime. It doesn't matter if it's Thanksgiving. I like sweet potato pie.
Awesome. They did a pie competition on the Today Show, and they didn't have sweet potato pie as an option. And Craig on the Today Show was very upset. He said, "You can't have pumpkin and not sweet potato."
When I was growing up, I never ate any other kind of pie. I never even knew another kind of pie existed other than sweet potato.
Awesome.
Not until I became I believe the first time I had sweet potato pie might have been in high school.
Okay.
Okay, so now we have our pies ready to go into the oven. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but here's the finished product. So we have our 4 big pies, snack size, and then we have our pies for the meal. So these, I'm going to put these into a 350-degree oven. We here at our campus, we have convection ovens. What I did is, if you have a convection oven and you want to put your pan on low fan, you can still cook it at 350, but you don't want it on a high fan, because the higher temperature and the faster that this cooks, the graham cracker crust will burn. So you want this on a little bit lower fan, or if you're using a standard oven, you can still cook it at 350 for 55 minutes. So I'm going to take these and put these over into the oven.
I have to give a shout out to our camera woman, Lauren, also. We've been learning some new skills during all of COVID with virtual events, and she's doing a great job over there. So thanks, Lauren.
Chef Bryan, is there a difference when baking it on a cookie sheet versus just putting it straight into the oven like that?
Well, actually, I got some pies that I started earlier, so they can be done, and I actually cook these on a cookie sheet as well.
Okay.
I prefer to cook them on a cookie sheet, just to keep some, just to have a block between the air, because we're using the graham cracker crust, and yes, they will burn, so you have to be very careful with these. Now, if you're using a traditional pie crust, you don't have to be as cautious with them, because they cook at a different time than the graham cracker crust. These graham cracker crusts are fully cooked already, and these are ready to eat now. And they'll get a little dark around the edges, but yes, you should have a pan going into the oven, something that keeps so much of the heat off of the bottom of the shells.
Okay, thank you.
So as you can see, these are pies that I cooked a little bit earlier.
Look awesome. I wish we could smell them.
Okay, so like I said, yes, they will get a little dark around the edges. I don't know if you can see or not, but the tops of the crust here get a little bit darker than the rest of the pie, which is okay. It doesn't hurt. It just gives it a nuttier flavor, which I prefer. So we're going to take these and let these rest. And these cook in the oven for 50 minutes. So now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start making our banana pudding.
And everybody, we'll follow up with the full recipes after as well for all participants. So no worries if you don't catch every step.
Okay, so if everyone got the ingredient list for the pudding recipe, this is very simple, guys. This is not going to take us no time. So we have our banana cream pudding. Okay, so I just used, or my mom just used the box of Jell-O pudding mix recipe for the pudding. So I went ahead and prepared that in advance. And as you can see, it's already set. It's got a nice thick consistency to it. And that's what you want when you're doing this recipe. You want it to set, and you want it to be really set when you're preparing this. You want to prepare the pudding in advance, and you want it to be completely set. For the recipe, you go ahead, you do not use the pie recipe, which calls for 2.5 cups of milk. You want to go with the pudding recipe, which calls for 3 cups of milk if you're using the 5.5 ounce boxes. If you're using the smaller, it'll give you the two differences on there. You want to go with the pudding mixture because we're adding more ingredients into the pudding, and you want it to still have a nice body and not to be so watery when you're putting it into your bowl. Okay, so I got my pudding here, and I went ahead and made my cream in advance. And so we make fresh whipped cream. So here's just a heavy cream and powdered sugar, and you beat it until you stiff tea. So it's still, you want it really stiff when you're mixing it in. You don't want it to break apart. So I'm going to go ahead and put my cream in. And you don't want to mix all your cream because you need it for your different layers, okay? So I use 2 quarts of heavy cream to make all of the whipped cream that I have now. I'm going to put about half of that into the pudding. And so I'm going to fold this into the mixture. So here you can see I have the pudding and I have the whipped cream mixture. And I'm going to fold it in. I'm not going to beat it in. I'm not going to whip it in because I want the pudding to be fluffy. So I'm just going to gently fold this in. I'm going to take it through and fold it over. Incorporate it this way. And really what I'm looking for here is a color. I want it to be very, very bright yellow, but still to be yellow.
So Bryan, did you grow up cooking and baking?
I did. I was taught at a very early age how to cook, and I very much enjoyed it a lot. So I started cooking probably around 7 years old. And the first thing that I learned how to make was scrambled eggs.
Very nice. It's a good staple.
Yep. So this is exactly where I want it. So you can see what I have here. The pudding, it has a very nice kind of yellowish color, but you can see the cream in there. You notice that before, when it was just a pudding, it was very bright yellow. So we put in the cream, and this is the consistency we want. Still, it stands still up. It's nice and airy, and it still has some texture to it, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut my bananas. You don't want to do that too early because bananas will turn brown. And if you're preparing this a couple of days in advance, the bananas will turn brown and it just will not be very appetizing. So you want to make sure that you're preparing this no more than 1 day in advance. So I'm just going to peel my bananas. I'm going to use about 6 or 7 bananas for this recipe.
I saw a good thing online the other day. It was a picture of bananas that were going bad, and it said, just face it, you're never going to make the banana bread. And I know that's happened a couple times to me throughout this pandemic. Like, I'm going to make banana bread, and nope.
You know, that is one of the things that I really like to do at my home when we have bananas that are going bad is I make banana bread for my wife and kids, and they really enjoy it a lot. I make a couple different versions. I do one for myself without chocolate chips, but my kids really enjoy ones that I make with chocolate chips in it, so it's really good that way.
That's a great idea.
I do it for the students here too. When we have bananas that are going, I make banana muffins, and they always, every time I make banana muffins, the students are always asking me, Chef, when are you going to make some more of those muffins? Every time. They always sell out.
That's great.
All right, so I got my bananas all peeled here, and you won't be able to chop as fast as me, but I'm going to do it, you know, quickly. I'm just going to cut these up. And we can start making our layers. Okay, so what I have here is just a regular baking dish. You can see it's nothing fancy. What we like to do though is take our classic vanilla wafers, put those in the bottom, and then you just want to lay them. And this is your base right here, the vanilla wafers or vanilla wafers. I like to put them on the bottom because when the pudding soaks in, they get nice and soft. It almost makes it like a cake. Super delicious. Okay, so we got our layer of the wafers down. Now, you can see that. So this is our layers here. And so now all thing we're going to do is we're going to start adding our cream. So we're going to put a layer of the banana pudding mix down. And you want a pretty thick layer of this on the bottom. So it's going to soak through. And as you can see, I was very gentle while I was doing it, because I still want to keep this nice and fluffy. Smooth it out, and then, again, another layer of wafers on top. we're gonna put some more bananas.
Jeff, how many people do you typically have working in the kitchen with you?
We have about, at any time, we have about 15.
Very good.
Okay, so we have our layer there. We'll put another layer of cream down, a pudding. Okay. And we'll put a layer of whipped cream on the top.
I like this recipe is like an art form.
Oh yeah, it's all about the presentation, you know.
There you go. Thanks, Judy. Thank you for joining us. I just saw your note here.
And then at the very end, this is always my favorite part. Taking the wafers and just pressing them up right over the top. There you go. This is Momma's Banana Pudding right here.
Yay! It looks so good. I'm hoping that one of the benefits of being here on campus is that we get to try it afterwards. We can let everybody know how good it is.
But, you know, since we have a little bit extra left over, and then you know, sometimes you want to make extra special treats for the kids. You can pick these little cups up anywhere, any kind of store, and then you can just put little layers in the cups, just like this. You know, you put your cookie wafer down in the bottom, a little spoon, couple bananas, and then crumble it up right over the top. And then you got some mini ones for the kids. Or if you're having a dinner party and you want to just have something special, you know, a little bit different than a big old banana pudding, you can make it just like so in these little cups right here.
That's an awesome idea.
We'll go over right now. And then we'll take a look at our pies. So typically, you'll want to let these pies rest for at least until they're cool. And so you're probably looking at, you know, a few hours if you're leaving them out, or you can put them in the refrigerator as well to cool it down. So hand out good and clean. Now get us a saucer so we can see what this looks like in the end.
Sounds great.
No, you can saucer. How many saucers? Yeah. Oh yeah, this is going to be delicious. So here is our finished product for the sweet potato pie. It's still hot. You can see the steam coming up. I bet it's super delicious too.
So would you put whipped cream on a sweet potato pie, or do you advise against it?
You do, you can. You can put whipped cream on. I personally don't because I like the pie just as it is. But for me, this is perfect right here. Just like heaven.
It looks amazing.
My wife, she likes whipped cream, and I think my oldest daughter and my kids prefer whipped cream, but not me. I'm the straight pie.
That's how you know
So
it's
now-
good, right?
So now if we want to open up the time for some questions.
Yeah, everybody, feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question or if you'd like to raise your hand at the bottom. Feel free to ask Chef Bryan any questions, whether about the recipes or being a chef here on campus. Just so everybody knows, actually, our last day of classes are this Monday. So it's crazy that the end of the semester is already wrapping up, but we've been glad to have a good and safe semester here and appreciate Chef keeping everybody happy and fed.
Yes, it's a pleasure being here. I love working here at Rockford, and all the students are such a joy, and engaging with them every day and learning about what they like and what they don't like. So, I have lots of communication with them. I try to get out every meal period and talk to students. If I'm walking around campus and I see a student that I know, I try to always speak to them, see how they're doing, just that thing.
So any questions for Chef Bryan? Like we're on the Today Show with their cooking segment, but now you get to talk live with him. So we're excited about that. We have a question from Steven. So Chef, what is the biggest special request from students?
Right now, we have a lot of students who really like pasta. So, I have a lot of students asking me, when are we having pasta? Or, sometimes we make specialty dishes. So a couple times a year, I'll go and make pizzas on the pizza station. And one of the things that they really like are s'mores pizza. So sometimes, if I get a chance to get out and work the pizza station day, I'll do a specialty pizza and make s'mores pizza, and they really like that.
That sounds awesome. Do we have any alums who remember their favorite meals from their time on campus? Any other questions for Chef Bryan or anything anyone wants to share from where they're at right now? All right. Well, we're so glad everybody joined us. We have found that a silver lining of all of this happening is finding new ways to get together and to have some fun and to connect. So we're just glad that everybody joined us today. This is our first virtual cooking segment, so maybe this is something we can do a little bit more frequently if Chef Bryan's willing to do that with us. So
absolutely.
Excellent. Yeah, we appreciate everything that you do, Chef Bryan. And if anybody ever has any questions about things happening here on campus or anything like that, my name's Nicole. I work in the alumni office here on campus, and we're here to support you all. and our students and everybody from the RU community. So we just hope everybody has a safe and happy holiday coming up. And definitely stay in touch and keep on the lookout for more events like this. We will follow up with the recipes here shortly so you all can get what you need if you plan on cooking for the holidays. Oh, we have
Thank
a
you very much.
Yeah.
You made
Thank
me,
you. Thank you for joining me today.
And we have a comment. Let's see. I remember returning to the dorms during fall exam week and being served wassail and cookies. I made Rockford wassail you make it every holiday for family and friends. That is awesome. Class of 1959 Lil Gatewood. Thank you so much for making that for your family. We actually, coming up, have our Hanging of the Greens event, which you might remember as a tradition here on campus. And so we're taking that online. And on the same website where you registered for this event, you can find that. And we do have the wassail recipe uploaded to that registration website if anyone's interested in that recipe. So
oh, that's great. Thank you.
you're welcome. Excellent. Well, and if anybody ends up making any of the recipes, you can also Google the recipe. It is famous. Actually, I looked into it more, and yeah, it is all over the internet. So our wassail recipe is pretty famous, which is pretty exciting. And if anybody makes the wassail or any of the recipes from here today, make sure to take a picture, and you can tag us in it on Facebook or send it to us by email. We would love to share that out afterwards.
Yes, please do. I'll look forward to seeing those.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy
Great
holidays.
day. Happy
Yep, have good
holidays.
holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.